You checked your phone again, didn't you? Not for a notification, not for the time. You checked it for them, and there was nothing. Same as yesterday, same as the day before that. And you put it face down and you told yourself, I'm done. But you're not done. You're here, it's late, and somewhere in the back of every thought you had today, they were there. Quiet, uninvited, permanent. Welcome to Miami midnight blues. This one's for you. Missing someone is the strangest kind of pain, because nothing happened to you, not really. No injury, no accident. You're healthy, you're breathing from the outside. Everything is completely fine. But inside, there's this hollow space that used to have a person in it, and now it doesn't. And your whole body notices. You notice it in the morning first, that half second when you wake up and the world is still soft and undefined, and then it sharpens and you remember. And the day starts with that weight already sitting on your chest before you've even had coffee. You notice it at random moments in the afternoon. A song, a smell, a stranger laughing a certain way across the street, and something in you just pulls. And you notice it most right here at night, when the noise stops and there's nothing left to distract you, and the missing just fills up the whole room. That's not weakness. That's what it feels like to have love, something real. Here's the thing nobody tells you about missing someone. It's not always about wanting them back. Sometimes you're not even sure you want them back. Sometimes you know, clearly and completely, that it's over, that it had to be over, and you still miss them every single day. Because missing someone isn't always about the future. It's about the past. It's about who you were when they were there. The version of yourself that existed inside that relationship, inside those moments, inside the feeling of being known by somebody. That version of you doesn't exist anymore either, and that's its own kind of loss. A loss that's hard to explain to people because you can't point to it. You can't say, here is the thing that was taken. It's invisible. It lives entirely inside you. You gave somebody your years, your actual, real, irreplaceable years. You gave them your mornings and your inside jokes, and the version of yourself you only showed at 2 a.m. when your guard was all the way down. And now all of that just lives in memory. Nowhere else, just memory. And the nights, God, the nights are when memory gets loud. Let me ask you something. Do you remember the last normal moment? Not the last fight, not the ending, but the last moment before everything changed. When things were still okay, still regular, still yours. A Tuesday maybe, a Sunday morning, some completely unremarkable moment that you had no idea at the time was the last of its kind. If you'd known, you would have paid more attention. You would have memorized the way the light looked, the way they laughed, the weight of that ordinary, forgettable, completely priceless moment. But you didn't know. Nobody ever knows. And that's one of the cruelest parts of losing someone. You never get to say a real goodbye. Not to the everyday version of them. Not to the ordinary Tuesday version that you loved most. That version just quietly stopped existing. And you're here now, in the dark, wishing you could go back to a moment you didn't even notice while you were living it. That's the human condition right there. And the blues has always known it. There's something about late night jazz that does what nothing else can. It doesn't rush you, it doesn't fix you, it doesn't tell you to be grateful or move on or look on the bright side. It just sits with you, note by note, breath by breath, in no particular hurry to get anywhere. It's saxophone, you hear it? That's not an instrument playing a song. That's a feeling that got tired of being silent. Miami blues, smooth jazz. These sounds were born from people who understood that some nights you don't want comfort. You want company. You want something in the room that knows, something that says, yeah, me too. In a city like Miami, all that salt air and open sky and water that goes all the way to the horizon. The nights hit different. The vastness of it makes the missing feel bigger, more honest. Like the city itself has too much space, and you keep filling it with thoughts of someone who's no longer there to share it. But that bigness is also where the music lives. Wide open, no walls, just the feeling, the sound, and the night holding both of them. You know what nobody talks about? The wondering, not the missing. People talk about the missing, but the wondering, you wonder where they are right now, what the night looks like, whether they're asleep or awake, happy or hurting, thinking of you, or completely moved on. You wonder if something reminded them of you today. You checked your phone again, didn't you? Not for a notification, not for the time. It's late. You're not asleep. You tried, maybe you lay there for an hour staring at the ceiling, counting your thoughts like they was something you could organize. Like if you sorted them right, they'd stop hurting. They didn't. So here you are. And you know what? That's okay. Because tonight, right here, we made something just for this exact moment. This exact version of you. The one who doesn't talk about it. The one who holds it together all day, every day, and only falls apart when nobody's watching. Stay with me. This is Miami Midnight Blues. You ever notice how nighttime tells the truth? During the day you're busy, you got things to do, people to answer to, places to be. You keep moving because movement feels like control, feels like you're winning. But the night doesn't let you run. The night sits down with you, pulls out a chair, and it says, we need to talk. come back, every single one of them. And the blues, real blues, that's the only music that actually gets it. Not the kind of music that tells you to move on or feel better or dance it off. No blues music looks you dead in the eye and says, I know I've been there. You don't have to pretend right now. That's what tonight is. No pretending. There's a kind of pain that doesn't have a name. It's not a rage, it's not sadness exactly. Something quieter and something heavier at the same time. It's the feeling of loving somebody so completely, so fully, and realizing that what you gave them they could never give back. Not because they didn't try, just because they didn't have it. You gave your whole heart and they gave you pieces. And here's the cruel part, you can't even be angry about it. Because you chose it, you stayed, you kept showing up, you kept loving harder every time they loved less. Thinking, if I just give more, if I just hold on a little tighter. But love doesn't work like that. Love is not a debt somebody pays you back. You can't pour enough of yourself into someone to make them capable of something they're not built for. And the night you finally understand that, the night the truth actually lands in your chest and you feel it instead of just know it, that's the loneliest night of your life. That's the night the blues was written for. Listen to that guitar right there. You hear that? That's not a happy sound. That's not a sad sound either. That's something in between. That's the sound of a person who's been through it and came out the other side still standing, barely, but standing. The Chicago blues, that's the tradition we're honoring tonight. See, Chicago blues didn't come from nowhere. It came from people who had every reason in the world to stop. People who lost love, lost time, lost themselves. And instead of going quiet, they picked up a guitar. They sat down at a piano. They opened their mouth and let the hurt come out as music. Because when you can't scream it, and you can't cry it, and you can't say it, you sing it. And somewhere across the city, across decades, across every heartbreak that ever happened in a dimly lit room, somebody hears that song and thinks, that's exactly how I feel. That's tonight. You're not alone in this room, not even close. Let me ask you something personal. When was the last time you actually let yourself feel it? Not thought about it, not analyzed it, not talked yourself through it like some kind of internal therapist. Well, it happened for a reason. I'm growing, I'll be fine. When did you actually just feel it? Because there's a war in most of us, two voices. One says leave, one says stay, and neither one wins. You just live in the middle of it, exhausted, going through the days like everything's normal, while something underneath is always, always aching. You gave somebody your years, your full, real, irreplaceable years, and you can't get them back. You can't sit across from time and say, hey, I want a do-over. I want to take back the version of me I spent on the wrong person. It's gone. That time is gone. And the grief of that, the actual grief of years spent loving someone who couldn't meet you halfway, that grief is something most people never talk about, because it doesn't look like grief from the outside. You're not wearing black, nobody sent flowers, nobody sat with you and said, I'm so sorry for your loss. But something was lost, something real. have permission to mourn it. Here's what I need you to hold on to: the fact that you love that hard. That's not weakness. That is not a flaw in your character. That is not something to be ashamed of, or something you need to toughen about. The capacity to love deeply, the kind of love where you give everything, every day, and only falls apart when nobody's watching. Stay with me. This is Miami Midnight Blues. You ever notice how nighttime tells the truth?